Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. As I mentioned in the last few videos, I visited Spain with my baby girl. My family lives there and we flew from the States, and I thought I would share with you tips for flying with a baby and also to deal with jet lag. Let's start with the tips on flying with a baby. Tip number 1, if you can, book a red eye. That means that the flight is gonna be through the night and the baby has more chances of actually falling asleep. Usually those flights are like late afternoon, evening flights. They're like a long flight overnight, and they turn off the lights and expect people to be asleep, so your baby gets like a more comfortable atmosphere to actually be able to fall asleep on the plane. Our flight from the States to Spain was actually a red eye, and the way back was not, and they kept the lights on and my baby wanted to fall asleep, and it was actually impossible for her to like be able to fall asleep in that environment. So if you can book a red eye, tip number 1. Second tip, this is so important, don't worry about bothering the people. It's just, you just gotta focus on your baby, and you know you're doing the best, and if they were in your situation, they will be trying to do their best too. So if no one can help you solve this problem, don't let them bother you either. Tip number 3, if your baby is older than 6 months, pack enough snacks. That's a great tip because babies, usually when they are like older than 6 months or they're toddlers, if you can bring different snacks and they get like angry or they don't want to sit down and you need them to sit down for a moment, or you're super tired and you put food in front of them, something yummy, something they like, something maybe crunchy, they're gonna sit down for at least 5 minutes and give you that break that you're going to need. If you haven't watched my previous video on tips to fly with a baby and how I was preparing for the trip to Spain, I show some of the snacks that I packed for my little one. So if you haven't watched that video, I'm going to leave it on screen for you guys to go check it out. Tip number 4, pack in a small bag like a toiletry bag. Everything you need for a diaper change, meaning a small bag, wipes, changing pad, diapers, cream, everything you need in a small bag. I'm going to show you guys clips on how I pack everything on a small toiletry bag, and you guys should do the same, because when you go to the bathroom with a baby on your own, it's helpful to have something, everything in just like a small tiny space to be able to change baby. And also don't forget to include in that small toiletry bag Lysol wipes or something to clean the surfaces, because if you're going to the bathroom to actually change your baby's diaper, you're gonna wanna wipe down the surface that you're gonna use. Tip number 5, it's so important when you fly with a baby to take Tylenol and a thermometer with you. You never know when your little one is gonna be sick, or maybe their teeth hurt or are bothering them, and they're just like super bothered and they seem like they're hurting or something. You can always give them a little bit of Tylenol, and that is always going to help them. Maybe the ears hurt because of the flight and the pressure, so Tylenol and a thermometer, it's a great thing to bring along with you on your carry-on. Tip number 6, I call this a survival bag. If you watch my previous video on how to prepare for a trip, you know that I put like random stuff and little toys on a shoe bag. It's actually like a cloth bag. And these are small things for Magnolia to entertain herself. If maybe your baby's like my baby, she doesn't really like to play with toys all the time. She likes to play like with random stuff. So sometimes she uses broken headphones, cables, maybe her brush for her hair, or the old monitor that broke and like she likes to play with it, or something that clicks. It's tiny stuff that you can find wherever in your house. For example, like a paper tissue, like a small bag, or I don't know how to tell you guys, any like random stuff that you can think of, like a old credit card, or yeah, like a silicone bracelet that I got in Amsterdam, like very random stuff. It really entertains her, so I put like a lot of tiny stuff that she had never seen before in this like survival bag, and that kept her entertained for a good while. Tip number 7, and this might be obvious, but bring comfy outfits for your baby. Multiple change of outfits. So some people find it easier to just let your kids or the babies fly with pajamas, but that doesn't really work for me. I think changing pajamas is more difficult than, let's say, they pee themselves or they just spill over their shirt. You gotta change everything and you have to lay them down to put the fluid pajamas on. So I like to dress her with multiple pieces, so let's say a onesie and something like a jogging set, so the sweatshirt and the sweatpants, something like that, and then I bring a change of sweatpants and a change of sweatshirt and a change of onesie. And if my baby was younger than 6 months, I think it would be easier for me to bring along kimono type of bodysuit. But now that she's older than 6 and she likes to sit up, I think it's easier the non-kimono style, like the regular type of onesies. So you gotta think what it's easier for you guys to use for your baby, like change, even seated, and having to lay your baby down to change her or whatever, and bring a couple of comfy stuff to change her on the flight if necessary. Tip number 8, and I think this should be obvious, it's to bring sanitizer and wipes and things like that. I'm gonna keep repeating it, but if you guys have watched my prepare for a trip video, you actually saw that I bought these wipes for cleaning like pacifiers or water bottles or things like that, and those work great if your baby, like mine, likes her pacifier but sometimes ends up on the floor. Those wipes clean the pacifiers without you having to use water or any product and work great. Also, I have these Wet Ones hand wipes that are antibacterial and work great because my baby doesn't do great with hand sanitizer. Obviously, she was like 9 months old, and these type of wipes work great for cleaning hands because it's impossible, let's face it, it's impossible for a baby that walks or crawls to not touch surfaces. And if they clean, you can clean like a small part of it. Let's say you go to the bathroom and change them, you can just clean that surface, but you're not gonna be able to clean the entire airport, right? So I would just let her walk and use her hands to touch stuff, trying not to touch her face afterwards, and then we would just clean her hands. So those wipes work great for that, but also we took the Lysol or Clorox disinfecting wipes for surfaces in the bathroom, as I mentioned before, or maybe cleaning the screen at our seat on the airplane and things like that. So sanitizer and multiple types of wipes are a recommendation. And now let's move on to jet lag. In our case, it was a big case of jet lag because we are 7 hours apart. So when here's 7 a.m., there is 2 p.m. And that meant that we arrived 8 p.m. US time, and there was the next day, right? So because it was a big jet lag, it's gonna be different every case, every baby, every type of jet lag, it's gonna apply a different rule, but this is what worked for us. Number 1, know your baby's schedule. I'm gonna try to leave right here what Magnolia's usual schedule looks like and what it looked like that week that we transitioned from here to there. I usually use this app, I think it's called, sorry you guys, I blanked. The app is Baby Plus. I use that app to track her sleep, and I usually see a pattern on her sleep, and I know that, for example, she's doing 2 naps, and at the times that she does her 2 naps, and I help her transition back to her regular schedule once we were at a different time zone. So that is gonna take a little bit, it's gonna take a few days, let's say around 5 days or so. You're probably going to be seeing it here, it's very visual, but the faster you can get your baby back on their schedule, the easiest. So master your schedule at home, know it by heart, and then try to mimic that as much as you can once you get to the destination. Tip number 2, treat the moments when they wake up at night or the early morning wakings as you would do at home. So if you at 2 a.m. don't treat your baby yeah, it's playtime, let's go outside and play. Don't do that when you get to the next destination, because it's gonna be even harder for them to accommodate their schedule to the time change. But also know that the first 2 nights or so, baby is gonna be hungrier, so you gotta feed them more often at night probably than you would do at home. Magnolia's sleeping through the night for like 3 or 4 months now, but when we were in Spain the first few weeks, she needed that extra feeding at night because she was super hungry, so we had to feed her. And also it's possible that sometimes they're gonna just be super awake and you gotta take them out of the room and wait for like an hour or so they get sleepy again and you can take them back to the bathroom. So that is gonna happen, but let that happen as little as possible. So 1-2 nights, 3 the most, and then try to put them back on their regular schedule. And just be patient, you guys. It's hard for adults too, and it's gonna be hard for babies with jet lag, and there's no different. Maybe they'll be more needy, maybe they'll need more food, more cuddling, and also try to cut their naps short. Don't let them confuse day and night. So if you wouldn't let your baby sleep a nap longer than 2 hours at like 4 p.m., don't do that on your destination. And if you wouldn't let your baby like want to run around at 3 a.m., don't do that when you change the schedule. Those are the tips that I thought I would share with you guys. I'm gonna try to leave some clips, images, stuff from the trip, and from the plane, the bassinet that we use. We actually got the bassinet on the flight over there, and that helped us a lot because our baby is used to sleep horizontally in her own space, and that kind of worked, although our baby is kind of like long and tall and a little bit, so the bassinet was just a little small for her at 9 months, and at 11 months was impossible. It was way too small for her. So yes, I'm gonna leave you guys again pictures of that, and I hope you like this video. If you also have any tips about jet lag or flying with a baby or a toddler, that's gonna be our next stage, and I will be happy to hear all your recommendations and any experience. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share it. I will be uploading new videos every week. See you soon.